Hi everyone, it's Patricia Warby from Alchemy Therapies here, and post birthday, my birthday was yesterday. I officially hit senior. Can you believe? Yeah, the big 60, unbelievable. Anyway, it's an appropriate time to talk about looking after your health, and maybe aging well is a good theme as well. And one of the things I'm doing at the moment, apart from microdosing, but I'm on my 1 month break, is I'm taking a product called Hormone Harmony. I think you can see that, which it's a capsule, normal sort of supplement capsule, very similar to the microdosing capsule. Actually, they look exactly the same, so I've got to be very careful that I don't get them mixed up. Now, I'm not here to promote anything. I don't have any links to sell or get benefits from here. I'm literally taking this to see if it makes a difference for me and my clients, because I already have one client who's taking this and has told me that it's really beneficial. And I wanted to see for myself. Also, it's a very interesting company. They're called Happy Mammoth. They're Australian. Their website has loads of testimonials on. Now, of course, this is very selective. All right. If you're going to put testimonials on your site, I know you don't put the people who didn't notice a difference or perhaps were made worse. You put all the people that had this amazing response. And of course, that's very compelling. And so I wanted to see if it was up to the hype. And I'm taking 3 a day at the moment. I started with 2 because as a highly sensitive person, I never start on the full dose. Never, never, never. I always work up slowly. And so I'm taking 3 of these little capsules a day. Now, you might be, it's obvious, isn't it? You might be thinking, what do they do? Well, hormone harmony, it's to do with rebalancing hormones, which are so important in the body. They are your kind of chemical signals of balance, of organizing the kinds of metabolic processes in your body in a synchronized way. They're like a symphony, actually, if you want to use a musical analogy. You've got the individual notes, which are your individual hormones, and it's the orchestration of that which creates balance or not. Now, most people in the Western world, at least, eating denuded foods, ultra processed. There's a book out at the moment. Actually, I'm going to do a review of that on ultra processed foods by a UK doctor. Most of us are eating those day in, day out, and it's wreaking havoc with our hormone system. And the end of that is really that you get, particularly for women, obviously, who are more hormonally regulated, you're going to end up with an imbalance problem and, unfortunately, a disease if you're not careful. A disease is really about an imbalance in the body, usually, unless it's infectious, in which case it's an organism that's creating the imbalance. But they are actually a tiny proportion of the chronic conditions that most people suffer from, and the vast majority of doctors' visits are brought about by chronic low-grade inflammatory disease. And that can be anything from stomach issues, IBS, gut reflux. It can be brain fog. It can be nervous system irregularities, mood disorders and so on. But they're all basically imbalances in your body systems. And so hormones are really key to that. So what's in Hormone Harmony? Well, it's a series of natural plant extracts. I'll give you an example. So there's fennel seed, there's maca root, which is a South American tuberous root, very good for blood sugar regulation. Chamomile flower, I mean, that's supposed to be quite calming. People often take chamomile before bed. Broccoli sprout extract. Well, broccoli is an amazing, amazing, amazing plant. And the sprouts particularly have incredible amounts of phytochemicals in that boost your kind of responsiveness, your metabolic rate, and generally are just very rejuvenating. Okay. It's interesting that the sprouts have more than the flowers that we eat. You know, the broccoli flowers that we eat as a vegetable are, in fact, only half, you know, tiny proportion of the potency of the sprouts, the shoots basically from the seeds, which have vast reservoirs of sulforaphane, which is a sulfurous compound, as you might guess. Very, very good for helping to prevent cancer, very much in the news this week with King Charles. Sad news with his cancer diagnosis. And liver problems, which many of us have and don't know. They're kind of a sleeping problem. Liver congestion, fatty liver. Very often, because the liver is so adaptive, we're not aware that we do have any issues with our liver. But a feeling of fullness after you've finished eating, a heaviness in that region, the liver is just below the right breast, and just a sluggish feeling are signs that maybe your liver is struggling. So broccoli sprouts really good for that. American ginseng root, Panax. There are two types of ginseng. There's a Chinese ginseng and the American one. He's gone for the American one. I say he, the guy that travels around the world from Happy Mammoth and sources all these different compounds. Can't remember his name, but he's all over his website. So berberine extract, berberine, really fantastic, really important chemical. Now, berberine comes from a series of plants that have a very yellow pith, if you like. When you pull the bark off, it's yellow underneath. Mahonia is a very famous example, or berberis. These are garden examples. I was a gardener before I was a therapist, so I remember those plants very well. And when you would prune them, you'd get this yellow color, and it's the yellow compound, not surprisingly, that contains the berberine. And berberine is one of the most important chemicals in terms of just general health. I often recommend it for people as a supplement, a single supplement. It's all to do with helping your insulin work better, which breaks down the sugars inside your cells. And so slowing the breakdown of carbohydrates, for instance, it just helps that whole sugar balance, which is so key to health. You know, most of us eat far too many carbs instead of fats, good fats. And so we get very insulin resistant after a while. That's what they call pre-diabetes, is when the insulin is still being produced, but the cells become unresponsive. And so your blood sugar rises. So berberine, really important compound. Chaste tree berry. Now, I believe that one is more for hormonal regulation. I think it's one of the ones I've taken before over premenopause, those kinds of issues where your hormone levels start to drop naturally away from the ovaries in a woman and move more towards the adrenals. So this is a problem for many women who enter the menopausal years, is that they can't re-regulate. And so you're told it's a lack of estrogen or progesterone, but it's really a problem of balance and high stress. Most women are under high stress, particularly in those years where maybe they've got women and men, it's fair to say, it's the high stress years. So you've got children growing, going into maybe adult education, or, you know, into education. And you've perhaps still got parents above you who are going into old age and needing care. And so the pressure from both sides is huge. It's a very, very difficult one for most people to balance because of the way we are all taught now to have to handle it individually. We don't get much support from our communities. Ashwagandha, very important for your adrenals, interestingly. So when you're trying to rebalance and move over to more adrenal production, you need something to support the adrenal glands. These tiny glands sit above your kidneys, and they are so key for, well, adrenaline production, of course, adrenals, which is from the center of the adrenal glands. And then there's cortisol, which comes from the cortex, which is the outer part of the adrenal glands, and hence the name cortisol. And those two are really your stress response system. Adrenaline's you'll get up and go, your immediate response, if you like, immediate response system, and cortisol is more your long-term kind of rebalancing. But most people are continually being driven by this bouncing effect between adrenaline, which they can often run out of, and then high cortisol levels, which don't abate. And so ashwagandha, really, really important. It's another root, I believe, that's ground. Anything else? Yes, there's a few other things. It's got rhodiola, which again is very recommended for kind of menopausal symptoms. I think it's got a licorice in. Yeah. One I don't know, Guamina sylvestris. Don't know that one. Wild yam, also very important for helping hormones rebalance, particularly in menopause. Women often go onto that because it's a phytoestrogen and it helps boost estrogen naturally. So it's really good for HRT. Now, this product is very much sold to women. I don't know any men who are taking it, so I can't comment whether it would be beneficial for men, but I would imagine few men would be attracted to take this because it does say relieves menopausal symptoms. Now, men, of course, get andropause, which is a different thing. It's usually not as well known, but it does cause mood changes. You know, their androgens do decrease. Testosterone certainly does. And testosterone isn't just about sexual drive. It's about your drive generally. And so it can be a trigger for depressive symptoms in men when their testosterone goes down. And women actually have testosterone as well. And when ours decreases, we do lose interest in sex because we haven't got that urge anymore. So it does cause a lot of problems. So yeah, what this is quite clearly a hormone balancing combination. Now, the fact that it's got so many things in it, I think is interesting. I think obviously they've determined that it's a combination that will make the difference. And having taken almost all of these, I don't think I've ever taken chaste, I have taken chaste tree berry. I don't think I've done American ginseng, but most of these I've taken individually and not seen a result, or certainly nothing that I could say, it's definitely improving. It seems to be, from the testimonials I've read, that it's the combination here in this particular product that is having such astounding results. Now, why would that be? Well, plants are synergistic. Plant chemicals are synergistic. They work together in harmony to create more than the sum of the parts. And that's a really important fact that modern pharmaceutical medicine cannot possibly copy. It's just unknown. In fact, what usually happens with pharmaceuticals is that they cause side effects. They cause disharmony in the body. That's what side effects are, right? So if you're thinking that isn't that a normal part of taking medication, well, yes, it is, but it doesn't occur in the natural world. And that's why, well, I don't want to say it doesn't occur ever, because you can get side effects if you take the wrong product or you overdose, which people often do. You can overdose on certain things. That's why getting the formulation is really important. But this synergy, this adaptogenic response, where the body is given whatever it needs rather than changing one particular pathway, one biochemical pathway in a certain controlled way, it will move a pathway up or down depending on what is needed by the body. And so that's an astonishing thing. And of course, plants have had millions of years to adapt to having to ward off predators and diseases. And so it's not surprising that plant medicine would perhaps be more powerful than pharmaceutical medicine. It's just not talked about. And the whole field of natural medicine or naturopathy is one that's largely degraded in the modern health service, despite the fact that it is very effective. It just doesn't have instant results, okay? Like if you start to take some pharmaceuticals, you'll notice within a few days. Not true of antidepressants, interestingly. They take several weeks to work. But I thought therefore, I wasn't going to make this recording straight away. And I've been taking these now ever since I stopped the microdose for my month off. I've been taking these. So this is about 10, 11 days in, might even be slightly more, because I wasn't expecting results straight away. So what have I noticed? Well, generally sleep has been better. Not last night, unfortunately. So probably not a great time to be recording this, but there you are. All sorts of other things can happen. But sleep has been better. And of course, I'm tracking that now because I've got my wonderful little biosense device, and I wake up in the morning and I can see how my sleep was and how broken it was and how much quality sleep I got. But I'm subjectively noting that I'm not waking so much and I'm not as sweaty or hot, which is a real problem for menopause, as anyone will know. I haven't spotted anything else. Focus is okay, but no better or worse than on the psilocybin. So I'm tentative at the moment whether this is going to be worth it. It's about the same cost as the microdosing, which is to say about 40 or 50 pounds a month. And therefore, is it going to be worth it long term? I'm not sure. Jury's out at the moment, but I'm keeping, an eye on my internal symptoms. And I will report back in the coming 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks that I've got still until these run out. But I would encourage anyone who's going through sort of these chronic low-grade issues to not suffer in silence, and also ask about alternatives as well as the mainstream offering. Because, when I went to the GP when I turned 50, about 53, 54, and this all started kicking in, there were very limited options, actually. I was devices, coil they wanted to fit, or I would go on HRT, which is what most women were offered. And I didn't want either of those options. To me, they're too blunt an instrument. I certainly didn't want a device fitted inside permanently or, for long term. And so I left the doctor's office with nothing because they didn't have anything else to offer me. Now, how wonderful would it be if when you went to the doctor, you had the conventional and the natural alongside, and the doctor could say, well, there is this supplement that you could try, but the trouble is the pharmaceutical medicine has got such a stranglehold on medicine generally that option doesn't really come up. And it, when you've only got 8 minutes or whatever to see a patient, you really haven't got time to go through all the options. So people have been largely turning to these kind of natural medicines on their own. So that's why I felt inclined to do a little tester for you and to let you know how it's going. Anyway, don't forget there are always other options. And that's not to say that everybody should always go alternative. I hate the word alternative anyway, but integrated medicine is an option for everyone. Whether or not you go for the conventional, there's always something you can do alongside. And I very much hope that that's what's going to happen with King Charles, I hope, because his background is very much in organic farming, and he has such a breadth of knowledge of alternative health as well. So I wonder how much he will embrace that. And it remains to be seen. Obviously, we don't know what form of cancer he has, and therefore how appropriate that might be. And that's not to say, I've got to be very careful what I say, that anyone should treat cancer alternatively rather than conventionally. I think probably the best approach is the combination. But there are always things you can do, and that was the point of me making this video today. And so it's now a goodbye from me, and I'll see you next week, and looking forward to raising the bar again on the issue of health and well-being. Take it easy. Bye for now.